All right, we're ready to go. Hi, guys. Good afternoon. Welcome to our final discussion. We've been talking about rape this month. We started in July, and it's been quite heavy, quite demanding, very informative as well. So today we are joined by Idhini Kenya, and they're going to help us basically break a few myths, talk about consent, talk about rape. Welcome to the discussion. What's up, Afula? So, welcome, guys. Again, this is a safe space. So, let's keep the questions sensitive. Let's keep the comments and the statements sensitive. Hi, Wambui.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay.
I
How are
changed
you?
mine.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
good. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm a bit nervous to be honest, but
Why are you nervous? This is like the most safe space you could ever find on the internet. Let me tell you for free.
really,
Yeah.
the thing is, I've done one live before, but it was just for jokes.
Uh-huh.
Then, and actually, that's the live that actually I can say made me realize life should be quite informative, and I should actually do something where I can actually come on live and speak. And so
Yeah.
the fact that we're here right now is so crazy for me. It's just I can't believe it. It's
You're
phenomenal.
actually living your dream of making your life more constructive.
Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, here we are. But thank you
Here
for
we are having constructive conversations on Wamboy's Instagram.
not Wambui though. This is Idini, isn't it? Yeah, this is Idini.
Oh, it's Idini. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Idini.
Thank you.
You are so pretty, by the way.
Thank you.
Ah! You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh,
So, should we get into it?
yes, we should. Is this
All right.
this
So,
is my
tell us.
just quick question. Is that going
Yes.
to be like a recording, or are you going to save the live in case people want to watch it?
Yes, yes. I normally save them on my account.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, who is Idhini Kenya? Who is Idhini KE? Sorry.
Yeah. So Idhini KE is me. Idhini KE is you. Idhini KE is my team, everyone working with me. Basically, Idhini KE to me is the society because, like I've been telling people, it's not an individual project. It's a project that that's collective. All of us have to work together because our aim is to basically create conversations around like sexual harassment and push for sex education, proper sex education. And these conversations cannot be had. I can't sit down and have this conversation by myself. It has to be with someone else. And then that other person goes and starts a conversation with someone else. And then that's how. So for me, Idhini KE it's everyone. It's the society at large. And it's a society that we need to change the society, the way the society thinks. And yeah, so that's why I say Idhini KE is all of us. It's all about these conversations that we're having.
Idhini KE is the people.
Yeah, exactly. It is the people.
Nice. I love that. That sounds amazing. It's also very catchy.
Actually, we should actually put that as a tagline. I hope my team are watching and writing.
Copyright nini ninis. All right. So why Idhini KE? Why those names specifically?
Like I mentioned, this just started just with conversations with like one of my friends, and we roped in another person, and we're just like, yeah, we should do this. We'd actually create like an initiative where we can have these conversations. And so we're trying to think, what should we call it? And we came up with a whole list of words. But for me, I felt like we're also at a time where like Black Lives Matter, and we're trying to, stand together as Black people. And so we figured, well, we don't want an English name because everything is always English.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, voice of office is English.
Yeah. So
I
it's like,
guess.
well, we're trying to be different. We're also trying to show that we're not like an international initiative. By international, I mean like America, the UK, all those places. And so we decided, let's actually use Swahili. Why not? Because again, how are we going to choose between all these languages that are in Kenya? So we just figured Swahili is the best bet. And so we sat down and we're like, okay, what should we call ourselves? And we brainstormed, and then we're like, you know what? the core of all these conversations we're trying to create is consent. Because at first we're talking about like sexual harassment, rape, all that. But at the core is consent. And so we figured, let's have something to do with consent. And so obviously Swahili, that's when we learned that we don't even really know Swahili that much, because we had to go into dictionary, like, what's the Swahili word? And so I think there's like 2 or 3, but Idhini really struck me. I was just like, I think this is it. And then another girl on the team was just like, well, let's add KE for Kenya. But I just figured, let's not put Kenya, because now, like, on my team, we're quite diverse as different people. Majority are Kenyans, but not everyone is Kenyan. So just figured, well, let's just call it KE. Who knows, if these conversations become like really, really strong and go out really far, we might have Idhini, I don't know, UK or Idhini US, so that those people can have their conversations. So we just figured might as well just start with Idhini KE. So that's why. That's how
I love it. It's working. I love it. It's working. Afula is saying Africanize it. Yes, hashtag Africanize it.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Nice. Okay. So what is consent? Seeing that now this is like the core of Idhini KE. What is consent?
So I think I'll just throw that question back to you. I want to just know, what do you think consent is? Because I guess it depends. Well, it has the basic definition, but then it also depends on context. So if I can just throw it back to you and just ask you, what do you think?
Yeah, sure. For me, consent is what I'm okay with as a person. I'm going to use myself as the example. For me, consent is what I'm comfortable with, what I'm not comfortable with, and just, I guess basically comfort. For me, it's like a matter of what am I comfortable with, because the things I'm comfortable with, they come from somewhere. Like, a lot of things have happened in my life for me to decide, okay, I'm comfortable with this, I'm not comfortable with this. For me, that is consent, like appreciating that even if this person is not agreeing to give me what I want, I have to accept that maybe it's not even about me, maybe it's coming from somewhere else. For me, that is consent.
Well, okay. Yeah. I think you've actually mentioned the definition of consent, because again, that's what, like, now we're working on trying to figure out, how do different people define consent? So we've been looking at dictionary definitions, and we're going through like the laws of countries, and there's some words that have just been the same. They've been the same throughout. So to give assent, that's just dictionary definition. Basically, there's to give assent. And then there's agreement. And I think that's where consent is. I have to, for you to have my consent, I have to agree to something happening.
Yeah, true.
When it comes to now consent in terms of now the sexual side of things, you have to agree by choice to vaginal, anal, oral penetration. It has to be by choice. In fact, the Sexual Act of Kenya, Section 42, let me not quote things badly, but the Kenyan one, they basically say you have to be in the capacity to make that choice. And
that's according to the law. I've actually read the Sexual Offences Act. It's true.
You have to be in the capacity to make. If you're not in the capacity to make that choice, then consent can be given. And I think that they're in, and that we always say, people really say that this topic, there's a lot of gray areas, but the law has clearly stated. The law has clearly stated that consent, basically, I have to agree to something, but at the same time, I have to be in the right frame of mind to act for that, for my consent to actually be valid. And so I was reading this article. I think I'm going to send it to you. And they have 5 terms of defining consent, which I think is so, so important. Okay. So basically, consent has to be freely given. If I don't give you consent, and we're talking in the context of now anything to do with sexual harassment, sex, basically. If I don't freely give that consent, you basically coerced me, which goes under sexual harassment. Coercion is a major problem. Consent is reversible. I can at any point say no. I
don't want this anymore. Yes, true.
I can at any point say stop, and you should stop. Consent is informed. I have to actually tell you what I consent to. So basically, I may say, I don't know, you can kiss me, but I've not said you can take off my clothes.
True.
So, and
yeah,
I think,
like you can kiss me, but I haven't said you can touch me anywhere else.
exactly. And I think that's where now the reversible nature of consent comes in, because people assume that, okay, and I think we've all fallen for this. We assume that just because I've said that, you know, yes, you can kiss me, then it can move forward. But if you start taking off my clothes, I'm not feeling comfortable, then I take back my consent.
Stop.
Like, no,
Yeah.
even that kiss, no, I don't want it anymore. And then the last one is, it's enthusiastic. If I'm not enthusiastic about giving consent, then what's the point?
Yeah.
And I think really with these 5 terms of defining consent, it really highlights all the conversations that we're going to be having. Because
true, actually, like you summarized our whole discussion. Actually,
when I was reading it, I was just like, wow, this is just going. It covers everything, because with everything that we talk about, if we go back to the 5 terms of defining consent, then some people's arguments may not be valid anymore if we're following this definition of consent.
The 5 steps, yeah.
Okay,
thank you. I like that. Send me that. Make sure you send me that. I like that. I should post that. So is silence to be regarded as consent? From the notion of silence means yes.
Okay.
Like you said, consent has to be enthusiastic. It has to be informed. So now in this, with our generation, there's this term that has been coined from I don't know where. And just so people know, I never agree with this thing. Silence does not mean yes. So in a situation like that, is that to be regarded as consent?
You know, I saw this question. I was like, "Wow, here we go." And I think that phrase comes from. Sorry, if there's anyone who is a lawyer here, if I say it wrong, please correct me. When you put the 5th in court, and most people, once someone says I plead the 5th, they're guilty, which may not necessarily be the case.
Yeah,
because they might just be keeping silent because of other things. They might not be guilty, but they're keeping, silent. They're remaining silent because of other things. And
because it might be like they're not in the physical environment where they can say what they want to say.
Exactly, and that goes back to terms of consent. I know now when it comes to law, people swear oaths and all that, but it goes back to consent has to be freely given. If you're trying to coerce me into, like even in court, if you're trying to coerce me to give you information, I don't see. I can say I plead the 5th because I really don't feel like telling you what you want to know.
Yeah,
I know there's all those other nitty-gritties. That's why anyone any lawyer here, please don't come at me with law.
yeah, we are all just learning here.
Yeah, but for me, that's where I see that's where that phrase came from. Is that because in law, or even like when you're having conversations with your friends and you're like, I plead the 5th, or I'm not gonna say, or you keep quiet. People just assume what they want to assume, and that's the problem. When it comes to these conversations we're having, silence does not mean yes, but at the same time, silence does not mean no. Silence is just silence. And
exactly.
Yeah, silence is literally just silence. I may be thinking about what you're saying. I've not given an answer, and you're already assuming that I've said yes or I've said no. It goes back to I think, like when you ask your parents something and they're just quiet. They don't even say anything. And you just go about you. They've not said yes, they've not said no. But you go do what you wanted to do, and they didn't give you permission. You come back, you get into trouble, and you're wondering, but you didn't say anything about it. But they did not say
so
either.
Why is it an issue?
Exactly. So for me, silence is just silence. Silence does not mean yes. The only thing that can validate consent is a verbal and a physical response, which means yes.
Yeah.
If I'm responding in a way, verbally and physically saying yes, then that's when you can say I've given my consent. Otherwise, no. Just because
it doesn't count.
Yeah, and let me just give you a situation. So let's say asleep next to someone, or like my boyfriend or something, and he feels like engaging in sexual activity, but I'm asleep. So he can ask, or maybe I'm not asleep, but I'm not awake either. And he's just like, are you feeling this? And I'm like, I don't answer. And then he does it. I've not given my consent. Doesn't matter if we're in a relationship or not. I know that's another conversation we're having. It doesn't matter. But the fact that I've not said yes it means I'm not giving my consent.
There's no consent.
Yeah. So exactly that's why for me, silence can never mean that I've given you my consent.
The reason I thought of this question was those situations where the victim, the lady is drunk and then she goes to pass out. And then the guy who comes does his thing. And then in the morning, it's like, but you never said no. So it's like the lady was passed out. She was asleep. How did you interpret that silence as, okay, yeah, you can, just because I'm laying here passed out, you can come and do whatever you want with my body? No, not at all. It shouldn't be like that.
It goes back to I'll just keep going back to one of the definitions of consent, and consent has to be informed. If she is, I know you had asked about the question about intoxication, but if I'm intoxicated and I've blacked out, maybe when we're talking, I said something, but again, I did not say physically yes. But when you're coming to actually initiate the action, I don't know what you're doing, and consent has to be informed. I have to know what I'm consenting to. I have to know what I'm agreeing to. I have to know what I'm putting myself in. And so if I cannot say yes, and if actually there's this thing I've been reading where people say, if I cannot say no, I can't say yes either. And that's why the whole a girl has passed out. It's not even up for debate. If a girl has passed and she wakes up and she's like, I did not agree to this, that's already for me a problem. And
because then
for everyone even.
Then in that the person is putting themselves in a position where they're making a decision for this person,
exactly,
which is not right at all.
Because again, consent has to be freely given. It has to be informed. Actually, I will send you this article because it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I actually want to do like a whole post from it. I feel like this is going to be like the best conclusion as we finish this discussion on rape. So now another myth, another statement that keeps bugging me is she says no, but she means yes. Because especially in a situation where it's a couple, they're in a relationship. So the guy or the person is like, I've known her since forever. Sometimes she says no, but I know she means yes. So he just goes ahead and does whatever he wants.
I can't actually say about relationships because I don't really have experience in that area. But I do know, I'll give an example of this one example, which is also a bit like I've had this statement a lot. So it can be, so imagine a situation that you've both been drinking, which is fine. I have nothing against alcohol. You've both been drinking and then maybe a little flirting, and then, one thing leads to another, you start getting into it. But then the girl says no, or she says, no, stop. And the guy says, oh, but you're already so wet.
Exactly.
You want this. I feel like for me, that thing of she's saying no, but she means yes, is a whole, this is just one example. But now the thing is, and this is a conversation I was having with my friends the other day, and I was saying, while we're engaging in all these activities, it's a biological, like you're stimulating my body. My body is going to biologically respond. That's what my body is doing. But if my mind is saying, I don't want this, I don't understand why you should be saying, oh, you technically want me because you're wet. But I feel like now this is what, and now for me, this is why Idhini is so important, because we need to bring in, I know I can be saying these things, but again, I'm not a doctor, so people might not believe me. So we need to bring in a medical expert.
So the doctors and the lawyers now, let's calm down here for a second.
Yeah, because I think we should bring in all these like professionals who can actually say, listen, if you kiss a girl's neck or, you touch her or whatever, her body is going to respond because her body is preparing for something. It's a biological.
Yeah, there's a whole nervous system that takes messages and sends signals.
She's getting ready because her body knows something is happening. But if her mind says, if her mind is like, no, and she says, stop, then just because, or even if she doesn't say, actually, even if, because there's this whole issue of, I'm thinking no, but I can't say no, which now leads us to a whole other topic. But if if you can see, I'm like trying to push you away, read the signs. Don't say at you, oh, you're so wet, you want me. I don't understand. I don't see where how people can actually do that. So that's one aspect. There's also the other aspect of, oh, I know, like you said, in relationships, I know how she behaves. But who I was yesterday is not who I am today. Unfortunately. Unfortunately.
True.
And people change, things change. Maybe the way I was responding when I was, because even I know I used to fall for that thing of you have to like play hard to get a guy, show him you don't want him when you actually want him. And I think that's where that whole mentality started, that if she says no, she means yes, is because you have to play hard to get a guy's attention. But that's how I thought when I was 13, 14, and now I'm 23, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, now when you say no, you actually mean no.
Yeah, I'm literally not playing hard to get, and this is also something I've experienced even now with guys right now. They think that because I'm saying no, not even about sexually, even just the advances, it's an avenue for them to, let's pursue her even more.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to understand. That's why I thought of this question. Is like, some things us as women say come off as mixed signals to men. I don't understand it. It's like, there's especially when you find men who have an experience living with women, like in a house full of sisters or mothers, they are so convinced that when a woman says something, this is what she actually means, even if that's not what she means. Yeah, then now that becomes consent to them in one way or in very weird ways.
But even going by what you've said, just because you've lived with 3, 4 girls or 10 girls does not mean, and that's how they act, that's how you see them behaving, well and good. That doesn't mean you come to me and I'm the same. I've grown up in a completely different environment. Mr. Tell me, excuse you, you better say what you mean. There's times, I don't know, it's just how maybe we've grown up, our culture or something. But we don't really explicitly say what we mean at times. Sometimes we look at maybe her body language, or look for the hidden meanings. I don't know. I don't know if my parents got tired of that, but they're just like, listen, if you don't say what you want, you're not going to get it. And if you don't say that you're not comfortable, things are going to keep going on, and you're going to find yourself in problems. So you might as well just say things as they mean. And I think now that's an issue that comes with when we try to combine our culture with society as it's progressing. We have to actively remove things that can no longer serve us from our culture. And that includes trying to have hidden, meanings in, I say yes and I really mean no. No, if you mean yes, say yes. If you mean no, just say no. Because as a society, we progress so far. We are so now intertwined with one another. Different cultures are coming together. It's better to just hit the nail on the head. Stop going round in circles. Just hit the nail on the head and say no, or say yes. So I feel like we've gone really round and round about that topic.
Yeah, we've covered it like pretty well. So now that you've brought in African traditions, have African traditions like polygamy encouraged rape? And the lack of men to understand the concept of consent?
Right. I think that I wouldn't be really like in the best position to answer about polygamy because I've not really grown up but from what my understanding would be is fine, our great grandparents or even our grandparents may have been allowed, or even some of us, our parents, depending on now your religion and everything, may have been allowed to have multiple wives, right?
Yeah.
But I don't really think it would be a case of, I think because they had many wives, if one wife refused, they'd probably just go to the next wife's house and be like, are you up for this? But then again, from our culture, women are made to give birth. They're made to continue the line of a man, basically.
Yeah, we have some designated roles.
Yeah. So I think it's tied. I feel like our culture may be pushing for this, not directly, but may be allowing for like rape and all that, or sexual harassment, because men feel entitled to women's bodies. Think that just because women are not allowed to speak out against anything a man says, then they can have access to our bodies as much as they please. And it also
then we're not allowed to say no, because technically you're supposed to belong to someone.
Exactly. And this now ties in with so many things, because it ties in with, now we're no longer living like in the family villages and all that, settlements,
Yeah.
but now in town. It goes back to, if you really think about how we've grown up, I can wear shorts in the house, but once an uncle is coming over, I have to cover up.
There, all the way.
Is it because it's wrong for me to show my body, which is fine, because some people believe that your body should not be shown as a woman, or is it because in our mothers' heads they know how? Because I feel like our parents are the ones who've grown up closer to tradition than we have. They know how culture pushes for, if a man sees a woman, then maybe he can have access to her body. Because it's an argument I've brought up with my mom over and over again. If I don't understand why we have these clothes if I can't wear them. Men. Okay, now I can feel myself digressing to a whole other topic. So let me just first finish this one. So I feel like our culture has pushed this narrative that women's bodies are men's playgrounds, which now is the problem, and that's why for me it's a bit of a tricky one, because people have different cultures. Yeah, that question was really tricky. I'm not going to lie. But I generally feel like African culture, or our culture, has to some extent allowed for rape culture in modern
certain
society.
things. Yeah.
And I speak especially like Kenya. Well, I'm not going to say Kenya because that's where I've lived. That's where I've grown up. Especially Kenya, men just feel entitled to women's bodies. And the thing is, it's regardless of what you're wearing.
True.
And now
it's gone past that point of it's because you're dressed like that.
Clothes have never and will never be an excuse for sexual harassment. Ever. Because if a man wants to take you, he will take you if he wants. Like, yeah, I don't know if that's not the right phrasing. But if it's in a man's head that he's going to sleep with you, he's going to do no matter what you're wearing, he's going to go up above and beyond to try get to you. So and I think it's really tied down to now the whole men own women. Actually, yes. That whole men own women.
That's actually where my question for polygamy came from. Because when you think about it, polygamy has provided the best setting, unfortunately, it's provided the best setting to convert women into some property that is replaceable, property that you can always get something better. Like, polygamy I feel like it's encouraged rape in the sense that it has discouraged respect of a woman, and how a woman might not want to be in a house with like 3 other women, and not just like clandays, there are other wives that she has to accept and accommodate. So if a child is raised in such an environment where he knows that he can marry anyone at any time because it's his right. If his dad was getting 6 wives, why shouldn't he? So now I thought of it in terms of this guy being approached by a lady, and how he cannot grasp the concept of why this lady is saying no. Why is she saying no to me, and I own her? She's my property. So, and she knows she's replaceable. So why is she saying no? Like, so I feel like polygamy has encouraged certain aspects of sexual harassment and assault to that extent.
I see where you're coming from, but I think it also depends on someone's background, like you've mentioned. It depends on someone's background, because it's not everyone who's grown up in a polygamous family who will see that and say that, yes, what my father is doing is right, or what he's doing is wrong. And that's why I say, as the modern age, it is our duty. I'm saying this, whoever is watching this, listen, and you can quote me. It is our duty to actively take out the parts of our culture and the parts of, I will even say, our religion that just don't make any sense. If it's going against someone's will to do something, then I think it's wrong. And it's our duty to actually say, this does not serve its purpose. It doesn't serve us anymore at this point in modern day society. It doesn't serve us anymore. A man owning a woman's body has never made sense. It made sense for maybe our great our ancestors. But now it does not make sense. In fact, I think I'll just keep mentioning my parents because I don't know. I feel like they're the ones who've just instilled this spirit inside me. There's one time we're having a debate about like getting married, and my dad was just like, we're talking about bride price actually. I was just jokingly saying, you know, my bride price has to be really expensive because there's no way a man can just, you know, because I was just like, I can't
take you with one goat.
I can't go below where I am already. I was just jokingly saying that. And my dad looked at me and said, why do you want to get married? Yeah. And the thing is, I don't think he remembers. I think he just randomly.
Are they married?
Yeah. Them they are.
That's interesting.
He was just like, you don't need a man in your life. And I think the fact that he's the one who said that, for me, it's just like, no man should feel entitled to me at any point of his life.
Much less at a price.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think now when it comes to bride price, so that whole argument of bride price is basically showing that woman is property.
But exactly. It actually enforces that concept.
Yeah, I think of it as, I don't want to assume, did you do 844?
Yes, I did.
Did you do River and the Source as a set book?
I did. Did you see
when, was it Akoko's dad or something who said, I don't want bride price, just, they gave like a token. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but I think that's just one something. It was just basically like as a thank you and not really as give me a million and one, I don't know, goats, and then you can get her. Because again, you can't put a price on someone's life. And now that's what I'm saying. As this generation, it's our duty to actively remove what does not serve its purpose anymore. We can re-evaluate what bride price means and say, yes, you can give my parents cows and goats, but it's not so that you can get me, like,
have this hold on me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's because you're showing them appreciation for raising me to be the person that you've fallen in love with, or that you are seeking to continue your line, like you'd want to start a life with me. You're just telling them thank you, and not as, oh,
it's a buying thing.
Come, and then you know what, you're going to drop Njoroge because that does not serve you anymore.
Like what? So, just to add on that. Sorry, just to add on that, I think when people talk about breaking generational curses, for me, this is how I take it. From what you're saying, it is up to us to stop it. For me, this is like, it is up to us to break this generational curses. I feel like discrimination against gay people, normalizing of owning women, I feel like those are the generational curses that it is up to us to break this generation, because I don't even think during the time they even would sit down like we're doing right now to have a conversation about why consent is so important.
But you know why? It's because sex is a taboo in our culture.
Yeah.
It's
talking about it and everything.
So even this, I was very surprised when I mentioned it to my mom, and she was like, wow, I thought she was gonna be like, what are you trying to do? Having this discussion, it's a very big taboo. And now that's my problem. And that's why our leaders need to open up. They need to wake up. They honestly need to wake up, because for them they keep speaking about sexual harassment in a way that, you know what, we're not going to address it head on because we're not supposed. And the thing is, I understand them, because most of our leaders are way past the age of being in leadership positions. We know that. And so for them, they are so strongly tied to tradition that it's just, we can't actively talk about it. And so we're going to try to deal with it from the other end, instead of dealing it from the main end, where the men are the ones coming to, rape. I'm going to say things as they are, coming to rape girls, impregnate them, that they're they're approaching it from the victim's end and saying, close your legs. which
I mean, excuse me, man.
yeah, and just to answer, culture does it really does. It has played such a, especially in African countries, because we are still really tied to our culture. It is playing a role. We can actively see its issue in even just in Kenya and the news that we're having at the moment. It needs something needs to be done, and I think the first place to start is actually having these conversations within ourselves, because it's easier to change our mindset than to change our parents' generation mindset. They're not going to listen to us. First of all,
that's not even gonna happen.
It's just many of us did not have the sex talk because our parents just felt, I cannot talk about it.
I actually, personally, I am one of those people. We never had the sex talk in my family. Ever. And then now I had to go through all these random situations to actually learn, this is sex, this is the way it's done, this is the things not to do. But I feel like, because growing up as a girl, I trust my mother. I feel like if I had gotten this talk from my mother, there's definitely so many things I would have done differently.
Yeah, I think it's just, even just seeing people speaking about, I don't know if people say it as a joke, but that thing of parents not want to talk about sex, but expecting grandchildren, where do they think grandchildren come from, or people not engaging their parents in conversations that, yes, I'm sexually active, is for me a problem on its own, because I think I just generally think your parents should know, instead of one day popping up like I'm pregnant, or
it makes it much harder when a person has been raped and your parents didn't even know that you've been sexually active, because then they'll be like, oh my god, this guy took your virginity and you got raped, and then you'll be like, no,
actually, I think there's, I don't know, I think that I'm sure there's a story I had where instead of, when someone approached their parents about the assault, instead of their parents dealing with it, they went to, why are you sexually active? And that's what I'm saying. Our parents' generation, instead of dealing with the main problem, they're going in they're creating their own ends to approach this situation, this issue. And again, it ties back to culture. It's just, they cannot speak about these things because for them, they were not allowed to walk with boys or hold hands with boys or do anything like that. But for us, this is the generation we're living in. We're living in a society that's propelled by technology. We are so interconnected to the entire world. We're seeing what people in America and all these other countries are doing, and so for us, it's normal, kind of. And that's what I'm saying. It's us who are going to have to make the change. It's not going to be them.
It's actually going to be only us who can open our parents' minds, because you see, they know that you are supposed to start having sex after campus, because after campus is when you're supposed to be looking to get married. But then this is not the 1800s. Information is all over. Clubs and places for people to hang out are all over. Situations of privacy occur every single minute. So you can't just sit down and, as a parent, wait for your child to finish campus and then wait for them to start having sex. Not as long as they're not being homeschooled, as long as they're interacting with other people, it is bound to happen.
And for me, I always say one thing, everything to do, because I have a younger brother, and generally everything I've gone through, I just think he doesn't have to go through it the way I've gone through. And so I actually try to talk to my older brother, talk to him about some things, and also talk to him about some things. Because if he doesn't learn it from people he's comfortable with, he's going to learn it from other people who probably want his downfall.
True.
Which is not, I feel like it's better send your child out into the world when they're prepared, other than when they don't. I don't know if your parents are, the world is cruel. That's something I grew up with. Hey, every single day. Okay, not every day though, but a lot of times, I just be told, the world is cruel. The world is cruel, and the world is cruel. And we need to figure out at what age people need to be, told that the world doesn't love you. When you go out there, it's literally just you and yourself. So it's just, I feel like our parents, and for us, if we become parents, it's more about doing better, doing what our parents should have done and they didn't do. And I don't blame them, but I still blame them at the same time, because they knew in their heads, they've gone through, it's okay. There's this thing I've just remembered. It's about pushing the struggle, allowing, just because you struggled, other people should also struggle. But this life, it's about making someone's life a bit easier than yours.
Yeah.
Just because you've struggled doesn't mean someone else has to struggle. And that's why for me, these conversations are so important, because when it comes to, okay, I know for you, you're talking about rape, but sexual harassment in general, it's, people need to know when they have been harassed. They need to know what harassment is, and so that they can protect themselves, or so that they can, know how to report it, because it happens.
Even just know that, oh my God, I have been sexually harassed. Because sometimes it happens and a person doesn't even recognize that was sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Okay, I think also just to add on that as we go to the next question is, it's better to get sensitive information from people you trust. Just to encourage like parents and older siblings, and to talk to the young people or to anyone, it is way better for a person to receive sensitive information from someone they trust. It's like how you would prefer hearing that a dress makes you look fat from your girlfriend and not from some random stranger. So as simple as your parent or your older sibling talking to you about this will make it resonate with you more, because then it's like, there's no malicious intent, there's no anything, this is a person I trust. So when they tell me this, they're looking out for me and they actually care about me. So yeah, I feel like also people need to be having this conversation, even not just with like family, but anyone in their lives, like everyone who's here right now, anyone in your life who you feel like they need to hear this, and you know that they trust you, go talk to them about it. Don't wait for stuff to go bad and then they come crying to you, yet you could have done something to prevent that whole scenario.
And that's why I said Idhini is all of us. Idhini is literally every single person who cares about creating these conversations, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to normalize having these conversations, so that it's okay. You don't have to come to us, or they don't have to come to Voice of a Face and be like, this has happened. They should be comfortable enough going to people around them and sharing what has happened with someone they trust. I'll always make sure it's someone you trust that you can speak to, because again, like I mentioned, the world is cruel. People may not really have the best intentions for you. But yeah, just to finish and say that Idhini is all of us. It's every single one of us in this life. It's every single one of us in our, in society. It's our duty to have these conversations if we want change to happen around all this.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think breaking the silence is enough to make a difference? Do you think these conversations we are having and these campaigns we're running online, do you think they're enough to make a difference?
No. No. And to be honest, this is just a baby step. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And it has taken a lot of energy, especially like for Idhini. It's taken a lot of energy. It's taken a lot of energy and a lot of courage, because I've always shared my story. But then sharing your story and realizing your story is making others share, it's a ripple effect. But it's still not enough, because at the end of the day, if our laws are not working, if the law is not working, then what's the point of having these conversations? Someone with a rapist mindset will still be like, okay, cool, you guys are talking about all that stuff, that's good for you, but if I do my thing and I want that girl's body and I'm going to get my way with it, and I know the law is not going to do it, it's not going to do anything, I'm not scared. I'm really not scared. So for me, it's more of, again, I go back saying Idhini is all of us. It's more of identifying if there's anyone in your circle who has this mindset, who has this mentality, and actively talking to them, because like we mentioned, it can stem from someone's background. We don't know what happened in someone's childhood. We don't know things that have happened to them that have changed them.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on in their mental. So it's about actively seeing the people around you and making sure that they don't have this mentality. And if they have done that, call them out on it. Not only Idhini though, please. That's not what we're doing. But
Yeah.
call people in your circle who are behaving a certain way. And if they don't want to listen, report them. At least report them. It might not do much, but the fact that they know they've been reported, it really scares them. And I can say that from my own experience. The guy who tried me, he was chased by the police for a whole year. Like, he was running from the police, and he was eventually arrested. I know it didn't go far, but the fact that he knows he's being watched is something. So
yeah, because then that spooks him enough to not do it to another person.
Yeah. But yeah, these conversations, they're not enough. It will not be enough if someone's mindset is not changed. If our leaders are still telling girls to close their legs, or our president is still saying crack down on all okay, again that one. I understand. Like, there's two ways to look at what he said
somehow,
about the whole
yeah.
issue. It can be Ivy knows that, or e-pills are free. Well, not free, but they're available. She's just going to be reckless and have as much unprotected sex because she knows that she's going to just go the next day and get the pill.
Get the PT or whatever, yeah.
That angle, which you can argue with me is where he's coming from, but that's not where he's coming from. He's coming from the angle of too many girls are pregnant and I don't want to deal with this issue, so I'm just going to say that it's their problem, and we're going to close down all this. We're going to crack down on all these clinics offering contraceptives, which now is because what happens to people who generally need them? Do people know that when you're raped, you don't actually have to report it? You can go to hospital though, but you don't have to report it. But then the e-pill is there for you. It's there for you to make sure that whatever happened, you're at least it's just precaution.
Yeah, I mean, if you're guaranteed that the person who raped you doesn't have like an STD or whatever, then the only other precaution to take is the pill.
Yeah, so we need to just find a way to change the mindset of people in our country or in our society, which is obviously we're not going to do 100%. I'm saying this publicly. I know these conversations are not going to change everything 100%, but we can at least try. If one person is impacted by Idhini's message, Idhini's work, that's all that matters. If one person's mindset has been changed, if one person can open the eyes and say, gosh, what I did was actually constitute harassment, and I'm never going to do that again, then for me, that's all that matters.
I also agree with you that it's not enough, but I am encouraged that it might make a difference because everything starts with a conversation.
Yeah.
The fact that I feel like these things have been prevalent in the society because they've been closeted and they've just been, and now we know that there's this notion of silence means yes. So these things have been kept in the dark and they haven't been talked about because, it's a taboo, it's whatever. And that's given them very good privacy and space to grow and like penetrate through the society. But now when we start talking about it, and we're talking about it not in the sense of encouraging it, but discouraging it, someone will know what I'm doing is wrong. What I'm planning to do is wrong. So I feel like it's definitely not enough because a conversation is not handcuffs. A conversation is not a sentencing. It's not charges, but it is a start.
It is. And who knows what all this conversation is going to lead to. We might eventually advocate for better policies, lawmakers, women rep. I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, for women rep to actually advocate for.
I know, what do women rep? I mean, that's a whole other topic, but like, what are women rep doing? Anyway.
Do you know what?
Okay, so actually, now that we're going into that, what more can the Kenyan government and policymakers do to curb the spread of rape and sexual assault? I mean, Uhuru is banning contraceptives. I don't feel like that's effective.
I think
there's someone telling people to funga miguu. I don't know where.
Yeah, the first place for these leaders and policymakers to start is please stop with this. I don't know if there's anyone whose parent is in the government or whatever, but please stop with this on the surface initiatives, which are more detrimental to victims than
all these
they don't do
useless
anything.
committees.
Those are just this. That Fungamigo initiative was the most painful thing I have ever seen.
It was extremely insulting.
Because
it was so insulting.
People are I feel like it all ties back to culture. It's just you're telling a girl to close her legs, but this is most of the time it happens outside urban areas. This is a girl who probably doesn't even know what's going on. For her, she's still being brought up in tradition, and it's all about if a man does this, then you
have to agree.
You should agree. Otherwise, like I actually saw a story today about two girls who had been arrested. And why had they been arrested? Because they had refused a policeman's advances. And now that also just opens our eyes to we're not safe. Our policymakers have no idea what they want they have no idea what to do with. They don't want to do anything. Not they have no idea. They just don't want to do anything. So people who have been chosen to protect us are the ones coming after us. They have instances of people going to report rape and they end up getting raped by the person they report. Like, make it make sense. We need laws that are actually enforced when it comes to these things. We need to see these examples of these people being arrested. We need to see them losing their jobs. But then again, it's really hard because in different classes, there's always the sexual harassment, there's always rape and all that. And it's just the more money you have, the more protected you are. Look at Trump. We have rape. He has sexual harassment allegations against him. But is anything going to happen because he's the president of the United States? Nope. We're just going to keep talking about it. And the thing is, the higher people are in status or in wealth, the more they feel they can do whatever they want to do because nothing is going to happen to them. We need laws. We need, because even we say no one is above the constitution, but we can clearly see the smallest. In this country, there's people who are way above the constitution. Yeah, our leaders just show like, oh, you guys thought that applies to us, which is a problem. We need someone to come in power who can say this, especially when it comes to like sexual offense. In fact, let's even talk about the Sexual Offences Act. Did you imagine? Yeah, because you're just I like how you keep saying that there should be a law. Like, there is a whole law. Like, the Sexual Offences Act is an actual thing. Like, rape is the sentencing for rape is 10 years to life. Sexual harassment is 15 years to life. It's not even that one I'm talking about. I'm talking about age of consent laws. That one just shows me that the Kenyan government does not care for anyone. For those who don't know, the age of consent laws serve as a means for regulating children's sexual activity, identity, and behavior. But again, if you're below the age of consent, you cannot give consent to sexual activity. It just makes no sense. If you're 7, because age of consent in Kenya is 18. If you're 17, 16, and a man impregnates you, that's statutory rape. So explain to me why our leaders are saying pornography is the problem. It's not the problem. Pornography is not the problem here. The problem is we have laws that people know they can break and nothing is going to happen. Yeah. And so this is a difficult conversation, but genuinely, we need leaders to come in who can actually do something about it. We need to wake up. Who can enforce them. We need to wake up. We need, as a people, as Idhini, as Voice of Faith, we need to wake our women rep up, because at the moment, as much as Idhini is all-inclusive, majority of the sexual harassment cases we see are against women. Not against women. They have happened to women, and so we need our women. We need at least one or two women rep. The rest, it's fine. We just need 1 or 2 people who can push for these policies to actually be, carried out. And as Kenyans, we also need to stop accepting mediocre things. I think it's stop going on Twitter to complain, and yet you're not doing anything about it. And then the next day we are on to the next thing. Yeah, speak up about it. Like, talk about it enough. Imagine it might take 10 years, but I'd rather it takes 10 years than 10 years from now we're still in the same place.
True.
We need a leader who actually has a vision for people. The question you've asked about what can our leaders and policymakers do? Thing is, the ones we have now cannot do anything because they don't want to do anything.
Yeah,
So,
again, it's back to us.
Yeah, it really is us. It really is about us speaking. It is about us calling them out. I want to see people calling out your women rep on social media. Call them out, tweet, retweet until they see those things. Because once they see them, they won't sleep. Don't give them peace. You talk about it once and then you keep quiet. They'll be like, wamesa how?
And also so that they don't say like we're making a big fuss out of things that are not happening, I would advise people to tag this women rep under these cases. Like when a case happens and it's reported on the news, it's on social media, just go in the comment section, tag that woman rep. Because then it's like you're not just coming up to harass someone because they're not doing their job. You're actually showing them, yo, did you see this girl? She got raped by her dad. At you, what are you doing? It's your county, it's your constituency. What are you doing?
And I think now that just reminds me of a question I asked someone when this Machakos, I don't call it an incident, this issue happened. I was like, do people know who their women reps are?
I don't think so.
Because I think
honestly don't think
that's
so.
already the problem here. If you don't know who your woman representative is, how can you hold them accountable? You can't, because you don't know who they are. And why? Because ever since we voted them in, we don't see anything happening.
They don't do anything.
So
they don't do anything.
Yeah, it's
I got. So you remember that Ivy story? The lady who got hacked in public by her stalker. And then the campus, and then Esther Passaris went and did a vigil. She did a vigil in UN, and then the next day back to normal life. And then a few days later, another incident. I was like, okay, guys, where's Esther Passaris? Nowhere. Again, she went MIA. And then now she surfaced the other day, printing her face on sanitizers, on the bottles of sanitizers. I'm like, wait. So the vigil was just a one-time thing, and it's over.
It was, and that's why, as the youth, it's time. Then in the next, I don't know if the next election, it's time to tell your parents, listen, if you're going to vote nonsense, please just tell them I'm not even part of you. Me, I'm voting for sense. At least vote for sense. At least vote for sense, because we can't be having these people. We can't keep complaining. And yet, as citizens, we're not doing anything. Like I said, we have been so silent on these issues that all our leaders are just going to walk. They're just going to keep walking over us.
Yeah.
And that's why, for me, when I keep saying Idhini is more than just who is working behind the scenes, Idhini is everyone. I need everyone to join these conversations. I need all of us to find all those women reps and ask them what is going on. What are they doing to protect women and men?
Yeah, because even the women rep of Machakos, till now I haven't heard her saying anything. I don't know who she is, but till now I have not heard anything.
Yeah, so it's about again, it just goes back to us. It's not even about what laws, and it's about us saying this is in the constitution. Why is it not being enacted? I need. That's why, for me, even we're going to have conversations with lawyers. Tell me why this is the constitution, but we're seeing things going opposite direction. Tell me why we voted in this leader and they've said that they're going to do something. Why are we not holding them accountable? Why do people have manifestos and they don't live up to even one thing on the manifesto? It doesn't make any sense. So
why would someone be raped and choose to be quiet about it because they know nothing will be done?
And generally, I know victims. I know we go through a lot. We really go through so much because allow me to just digress a bit and just speak about this.
Sure.
It's about you're living in a house and someone comes and robs.
Oh wait, babe, I think we're out of time. I'm seeing my timer is coming.
Oh, it's actually a timer?
Yeah. I think we have just like an hour maximum. Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's alright, but send me that article, please, and then share these pointers that are left with me, please.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this.